memory access. So direct memory access is also called as DMA. Before going to the topic, first we have to understand what is a peripheral device. So peripheral device is nothing but any device that is connected to your CPU are called peripherals. So you can say it as input or output device attached to the computer are called peripherals. So I have given some examples here for peripherals, that is video monitor, keyboard and printer, etc. So peripheral device, depending upon the speed, it is classified as slow speed peripheral, same speed peripheral and high speed peripheral. Now you can see a diagram where the processor is connected to a slow speed peripheral, same speed peripheral and high speed peripheral. And you have some signals. So for slow speed peripheral, the signal is ready signal. Similarly, for same speed peripheral, we have INTR and INTA. And for high speed peripheral, here the signal is given as hold and hold acknowledgement. So first we will see the slow speed peripheral. So whenever the data has to be transferred from slow speed peripheral to processor, the processor will go to wait state till the peripheral gets ready. And then if the data is ready in slow speed peripheral, it will give one ready signal to the processor. When the processor receives the ready signal, then it starts accepting the data from low speed peripheral. For example, you can say a keyboard. So a person has to type the data in the keyboard. So when it will finish typing, till that the processor will go to the wait state. After finish typing, the keyboard will send the ready signal to the processor. So the processor, when it receives a ready signal, it will come out from the idle state and it will respond to the ready signal and it starts accepting the data from slow speed peripheral. This ready signal you would have read in microprocessor 8085. All these signals, whatever signals here it is marked, everything you would have read in the microprocessor, that is 8085 processor. Next one is same speed peripheral. So here the signal I have written is interrupt and interrupt acknowledgement. It is written as INTR and INTA. So the signal is INTR and INTA. So interrupt here it is non-vectored interrupt. Actually there are two types of interrupt, that is vectored interrupt and non-vectored interrupt. Vectored interrupt will have the own address for the service routine, whereas non-vectored interrupt, the peripheral has to give the address for the subroutine. So when a same speed peripheral wanted to transmit the data to the processor, it will give one INTR signal. Then will accept the interrupt signal and sends one acknowledgement signal. Then the peripheral has to give the lower order address and then the higher order address. So these many processes has to be taken out in order to transmit the data in same speed peripheral. Next one, we are going for high speed peripheral. So here high speed peripheral, we have two signals, hold and hold acknowledgement. The processor does not able to manage the high speed peripheral by itself. It requires DMA to handle the high speed peripheral. So it requires DMA to handle the high speed peripheral. So actually this hold signal and hold acknowledgement signal will be given by the DMA. So whenever high speed peripheral wanted to transmit data, it will send one DMA request to your DMA and DMA will send one hold signal to your processor. The processor receives the hold signal, relieve all the buses to the DMA and sends one hold acknowledgement signal. Now DMA becomes the bus master and through the buses, the high speed peripheral transfer the data to memory. So without the interference of the processor, high-speed peripheral can access the memory directly through DMA. Next, we are going to see the modes of transfer. So data transfer to and fro from peripheral may be handled in one of the three modes. What are the three modes are? Programmed IO, interrupt initiated IO, and direct memory access. So programmed IO. In programmed IO, the data transfer is initiated by writing an instruction in a program. So you have to give an instruction in a program in order to transfer the data. So it is a time consuming process because programmed IO generally used for slow peripheral device. So it is a time consuming process. Next one is interrupt initiated IO. For that, first of all, you have to know about interrupt. Interrupt is a signal which stops the execution, current execution. So it also instructs the processor to stop the current process, to save the current state, and to attend the functional call. So an interrupt is a signal which stops the execution of the processor, current execution of the processor. It also instructs the processor to save the current state and to attend the functional call. There are two types of interrupts. One is maskable interrupt, another one is non-maskable interrupt. In maskable interrupt, you can mask the interrupt with a value. So you can hide the interrupt with a value. This you would have already read in your microprocessor. So maskable interrupt means you can hide the interrupt by a value. So here the maskable interrupt is attended by the processor depending upon the priority. So the maskable interrupt will be delayed by wait statement. After high priority interrupt only, it will be accepted. Next one, non-maskable interrupt. Non-maskable interrupt is a high priority interrupt. So whenever you give non-maskable interrupt, the processor will complete its instruction cycle and then it will respond to your non-maskable interrupt. So interrupt initiated IO is nothing but you can initiate data transfer by sending an interrupt signal. So when interrupt signal is given, what happens? The processor will finish its current instruction cycle and then responds to your interrupt signal. So it will send one acknowledgement signal, whereas through which the data is transmitted. Next one is DMA. So interrupt initiated IO is used for same speed peripheral. Next one is DMA. DMA is direct memory access. So the interface transfers data in and out of the memory unit through the memory bus. So through DMA, the data can be transferred from memory to peripheral device in both the direction of data. The data can be transmitted from memory to peripheral device. So DMA, whenever DMA gives a hold signal, the processor will complete its mission cycle. It will not complete the entire instruction cycle. Whatever mission cycle is going on, it will complete the mission cycle. Immediately it will respond to your DMA. So that is the major advantage. Whereas in interrupt initiated, the CPU will complete the entire instruction cycle, then only it will respond. Whereas in DMA, it will complete mission cycle and then it will respond to your DMA. You know, in instruction cycle, you will be having 2 or 3 mission cycles. So it will complete only current mission cycle and then it will respond to your DMA. So that is the major advantage of DMA. Now we are going to see what is DMA. DMA is an IC that acts as an interface between high-speed peripheral and a processor. So it is acting as an interface between a high-speed peripheral and a processor. So here in a diagram you can see a microprocessor, a DMA controller, a memory and input-output device. So input-output device is connected to a DMA controller and DMA controller is connected to the buses of your microprocessor. So here we have two signals, hold and hold acknowledgement signal, where this signal is written as BR and BG. BR means bus request signal, BG is bus grant signal. So hold signal is nothing but bus request signal, that is denoted by BR. Hold acknowledgement signal is nothing but your bus grant signal, which is written as BG. So you have buses, you have, what are the buses available? Address bus, data bus and memory bus, data bus and control bus. All these buses are connected to your DMA controller and similarly it is connected to your memory. So when input output device wanted to access the memory, it will uses the DMA. Through DMA, it can transfer the data from peripheral device to your memory without the interference of your microprocessor. Peripheral connected to DMA. Input-output ports of the high-speed peripheral can access the memory directly by bypassing the processor, but by using the buses of the processor. So, the high-speed peripheral can access the memory directly by bypassing the processor, but it will uses the buses of the processor. So, the buses will be controlled by your DMA controller. So in the diagram, you have seen microprocessor, memory, DMA controller. In DMA controller, 3 peripheral devices are connected through input-output port. So single DMA can handle more than 1 peripheral device. So here 3 peripheral device is connected to your DMA controller. Now, actually, CPU initiates DMA. Always DMA transfer is initiated by your CPU. So it initializes by giving following information. First, it will give the starting address of memory. For example, you want to write the data in the memory. That is high speed peripheral. For example, we can take it as CD drive. CD drive is a high speed peripheral. Now you want to write the data from CD drive to your memory. So in the memory, where you are going to write, that is nothing but your starting address. So the starting address of memory where the data is available or where you are going to store, that is given by your CPU. So CPU gives the starting address of your memory. Next one, it will give the word count. That is how many words has to be transferred. So it will give the starting address and then how many words it has to transfer. So it will give the word count. So this word count till it becomes 0, it keeps on transmitting the data. So word count is nothing but the number of words that is present in the memory block which you are going to transfer. Then control. Control, actually you are going to give a control word which specifies the mode of transfer, whether it is read or write. So you will be writing a control word which specify whether you are going to read the data or write the data. Then a control to start your DMA transfer. So CPU initialize DMA. First it will give the starting address of memory. Then it will give the word count. And then it will mention whether you are going to read the data or write the data, and it will send the control signal to start your DMA transfer. So this is CPU bus signals for DMA transfer. So what are the signals? As I told you, you will be having bus request signal and bus grant signal. Bus grant signal will be given by CPU. Bus request signal will be given by the peripheral device. So here you have address bus, data bus, and read signal and write signal. The DMA communicates with the CPU via data bus and control lines. The registers in DMA are selected by CPU through address bus by enabling DS and RS. DS is nothing but DMA select, RS is nothing but register select. So DMA communicates with CPU via data bus and control lines, and the register in DMA can be selected by giving DS and RS, by enabling DS and RS through address bus. So DS is nothing but DMA select, whereas RS is register select. Next one, here you can see the block diagram of DMA controller. So in the block diagram of DMA controller, the DMA has 3 registers. First one is address register, second one is word count register, third one is control register. So we'll read what is address register. So address register contains the address to specify the desired location in memory. So the address, the CPU will give the address, it will write the address in the address register. So it will write the starting address of the memory. Next one, in word count register, it will write the number of words to be transferred. Okay, so it will holds the number of words to be transferred. So the CPU will write the number of words that has to be transferred. So word count register is a down counter. It's a down counter. Next one is control register. In control register, control word will be written which specifies the direction of data transfer, whether you are going to write the data or read the data. Then you have a control logic. In the control logic, you have signals. First one is DMA select. So in order to transmit the data through DMA, this signal should be activated. So first CPU will select DMA through address bus. Then next one is RS. RS is register select. So which register? We have 3 register. So in which register the data should be stored, that is selected by RS line. This is also given by your CPU through address bus. Then you have read signal and write signal. Then you have bus request signal and bus grant signal. Bus request signal will be given by DMA and bus grant signal will be given by your CPU. And you have interrupt signal that is given as INTR. Then you have address bus and data bus. For address bus, you have address bus buffer, and for data bus, you have address bus buffer. Data bus and address bus. Then here input device is connected to your control logic. Here it is given two signals. One is DMA request, another one is DMA acknowledgement signal. So the request signal will be given from input output device and acknowledgement signal will be given by the DMA. Next one, transfer of data by DMA controller. So this is the entire block diagram. You can see how the data is transferred by DMA. So here you have 4 blocks. First one is CPU and RAM is nothing but your memory. Then DMA, then the peripheral device. So here you have read, write signals which are interconnected to your CPU, DMA and RAM. Then you have address bus. Address bus is connected to your CPU, DMA and RAM. And you have data bus. Data bus is also connected to your CPU, DMA and RAM. And you have address select lines which is used to select your DS and RS. And bus request signal will be given from DMA to CPU and bus grant signal will be given by CPU to the DMA, and interrupt signal is also connected. Next one, input output device. As I told you, we are having two signals. One is DMA request, another one is DMA acknowledgement signal. And here the data transfer is done through the data bus. So the memory data bus is connected to the data bus of your peripheral device. Now we are transfer is done. So first we have to understand the buses can be shared by the processor and DMA controller. So at that time, which device holds the bus is called bus master. Initially, CPU will hold the buses and CPU will be master of buses and DMA will be in the slave mode. When there is a transfer is initiated between input device to the memory or vice versa, the processor will stop the execution of current program and then it will increment the program counter and it will store the data over the stack. It is like subroutine. So whenever a subroutine is initiated, what happen? The current program address will be stored. Actually, you will increment the program counter and you will store the address in the stack. Similarly, here also, when it stops the execution of current program, it will increment the program counter and stores the address in your stack, and also the data it will move over the stack. Then it will send a DMA select line to the DMA controller over address bus. So DMA is selected by giving a DMA select line by the processor over the address bus. So here DMA select line is nothing but DS. So DS is selected by the processor through address bus. So if the DMA controller is free, then it will accept the select line and then it will request the control of buses from the processor by giving a bus request signal. So the DMA will request the control of buses from the processor by sending a bus request signal. When the bus request signal is received by the processor will relieve all the buses and then it will send one bus grant signal to the controller. So when controller receives the bus grant signal, then the DMA will take over the buses and it becomes the bus master. Now DMA is in the master mode. DMA becomes the master of buses. Then the processor initiate DMA by sending the memory address, that is starting address, and then number of blocks of data to be transferred and whether you are going to read or write the data. So processor initiates DMA controller by sending the memory address, the number of blocks of data to be transferred and the direction of data transfer, that is you are going to read or write the data. Now the DMA has full control over the buses. Now the memory and input output device are independent of CPU. So it can transfer the data through, it can transfer the data through the DMA controller through buses. So it makes the data transfer according to the control instruction received by the processor, whether it has to write the data or read the data. So through the buses, DMA will have the control over the buses. Through the buses, the peripheral device will interact with the memory. Whether you have to read the data or write the data, both can be done through the buses. You can transmit the data by where DMA will control the buses. So without the interference of the processor, you are transmitting the data from peripheral device to the processor through DMA. So after transmitting one data, the DMA increments the address register. So one data is taken or stored means it has to go to the next address. For that, DMA increments the address register. Here one word has been transferred, so the count register is decremented. So for each data transfer, DMA increments the address register and decrements the word count. So data transfer will occur till your count register becomes 0. When your count register reaches the 0, the DMA stops further transfer and removes its bus request signal. When it removes the bus request signal, it will also informs the CPU about the termination by means of an interrupt. Then CPU responds to the interrupt. It reads the content of the word count register. If it has 0 value, then CPU understand that the data transferred as done successfully. So once again, I'll repeat the process. First, the data transfer will be when there is any data transfer, that is when peripheral device wanted to do data transfer between the memory and peripheral device. It gives the information to the processor. Then the processor will stop the execution of the current program and increments the program counter, and it will store the data in the stack and send a DMA select signal to DMA controller. So the DMA controller is free, means it will request the control of buses from the processor by giving a bus request signal. When bus request signal is received by the controller, then the controller will relieve by the processor. When the bus request signal is received by the processor will relieve all the buses and gives the control to the DMA by sending a bus grant signal. Then the DMA will become the bus master. Then the processor will provide the information, that is by giving the memory address and then number of blocks to be transferred and also the data direction of data transfer. After this, the DMA becomes the controller over the buses through which the peripheral can directly access the memory without the interference of CPU. So data transfer will be taken by the control instruction. According to the control instruction, data transfer happens. So for each word transfer, DMA increase the address register and also decrements the word count in the word count register. If the word count register reaches the 0, then DMA understands that the data transfer is over. So it stops further transfer and removes its bus request signal. When it removes the bus request signal, it will also inform CPU by means of an interrupt. So CPU responds to the interrupt. It will read the content of word count register. So it will check the value. It will also cross check the value. If the register is having 0 value, then the CPU will understand that the data transferred has done successfully. So these are the process for transmitting the data between your high-speed peripheral to the memory through DMA. Now we are going to see the different modes of DMA transfer. There are three modes. First one is burst mode. Second one is cycle stealing mode. Third one is transparent mode. In burst mode, the entire block is transferred in one DMA. So when the DMA becomes the master, it will transfer the entire data and then only it will hand over the buses to CPU. So in this mode, DMA hand over the buses to CPU only after the completion of whole data transfer. So meanwhile, if CPU requires buses, it has to stay idle and wait for the data transfer. Only after completing data transfer, CPU will get the buses. Till that, CPU has to wait ideally. So it will go to ideal state. So this is called bus mode. So in bus mode, the entire block of data is transferred. Till that, the buses will not be handed over to CPU. After transfer, the buses will be given to CPU. So in meantime, if CPU requires buses, means it has to wait till the data transfer is finished. Next one is cycle stealing mode. So cycle stealing mode means DMA will steal one machine cycle from processor. In that one machine cycle, it will transfer 1 byte. And then once again, it will hand over the buses, and DMA repeatedly issues the request for bus control and makes the transfer of 1 byte and return the bus. So this is a continuous process. Till the data transfer is completed, the DMA keeps on issuing the bus request signal. In one machine cycle, it will transmit 1 byte data and then it returns the bus. So this is the major advantage. The CPU does not have to wait for a long time if it requires buses for high priority tasks. So CPU does not have to wait for a long time in cycle stealing mode. So cycle stealing mode is nothing but DMA will steal one machine cycle from your processor, and in one machine cycle it will transmit 1 byte data and then return the buses to the CPU. And the DMA will continuously issue the request for bus control till the data transfer is completed. So CPU does not have to wait for a long time for the buses. Next one is transparent mode. So in transparent mode, the data transfer occur only when CPU is executing the instruction which does not require the uses of buses. Okay, so if it does not require buses only, DMA will transmit the data. So now we are going to read the advantages of DMA. DMA speeds up the memory operation and bypasses the involvement of CPU. So it speeds up the memory operation by bypassing the involvement of CPU, because DMA is always used by high-speed peripheral. So CPU is when compared to CD drive, CPU is a slow device. So when it bypasses the CPU, then the memory operation can be speeded up. The workload on CPU decreases. So since the data transfer is done through DMA, the workload upon CPU decreases, and it requires only few clock cycles. So few number of clock cycles only it is required. So these are the advantage. One is it speeds up the memory operation, then it reduces the workload, overall workload, and then it reduces the clock cycles. So it requires only few number of clock cycles for transfer. Next one is disadvantage. Since it is an hardware unit, the implement cost will be high. The cost of implement, it will cost to implement a DMA controller. Then next disadvantage is cache coherence problem can occur. So this cache coherence topic you will be reading in the 5th unit. Next one, key points. So these are the key points that is related to your today's class. So first one is DMA. DMA is nothing but it is the abbreviation of direct memory access. So DMA is a method of data transfer between main memory and peripheral device. So it is a method to transfer data between main memory and peripheral device. So hardware unit which controls DMA transfer, we call it as DMA controller. So DMA controls the data to and from the memory without the interference of the processor. The processor provides the starting address, word count, and the direction of data transfer. Next one, DMA controls transfers the block of data to and fro the memory by using 3 modes. That is bus mode, cycle stealing mode, and transparent mode. Then DMA can be configured in various ways. It can be a part of individual input-output device, or all the peripherals attached to the system may share the same DMA controller. So same DMA controller can be shared by the peripheral device, or each peripheral device will have an individual DMA. Thus, DMA controller is a convenient mode of data transfer. It is always preferred over programmed IO and interrupt-driven IO mode of data transfer. So, since DMA does not have the interference of CPU, it directly transfer the data between the memory and peripheral device. It can handle the high-speed peripheral. So, it is having a major advantage, that is when DMA gives the old signal, the processor will complete in the mission cycle. Immediately it will respond to your DMA. So, DMA is always preferred over programmed IO and interrupt-driven IO mode of data transfer.